representing His Eminence Archbishop Stylianos of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of Australia, His Grace Bishop Iakovos of Miletopolis, Assistant Bishop to His Eminence. His Eminence Archbishop Paul of Sydney, Metropolitan of Australia, New Zealand and Philippines, Antiochian Orthodox Christian Archdiocese. His Grace Bishop George of Canberra, Russian Orthodox Church outside of Russia. His Grace Bishop Suriel of Melbourne and affiliated regions, Coptic Orthodox Church. His Grace Bishop Daniel of Sydney and affiliated regions, Coptic Orthodox Church. The Very Reverend Proto-Presbyter Dr. Michael Protopopov, Vicar General of Rokor, the Russian Orthodox Church outside of Russia, in Australia and New Zealand. The Honourable Gabriel Upton, New South Wales Attorney General. His Excellency Miroljub Petrovic, Ambassador of Serbia to Australia. With his wife. His Excellency Branko Radošević, Consul General of Serbia. And our host and guest of honour, His Grace Bishop Irinej, Metropolitan of Australia and New Zealand of the Serbian Orthodox Church.
Stradanje si daže do krove, Mučeniče Irineje, moli Hrista Boga, spasisja duša naših. Slava Otcu i Sinu i Svjatomu Duhu i nje i prisno i vijeki vjekova. Amin. Gospodi pomiluj, Gospodi pomiluj, Gospodi pomiluj, Vladiko svjati blagoslovi. Amin. Australian zole da rejoice, for we are young and free, with golden soil and wealth unknown. Our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts, for beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair. Bože protecti što spase od propasti dosad nas, čuj Otca naše glase i odsad nam budi spas. Moćnom rukom vodi brani budućnosti srpske tron. Bože spasi, Bože hrani srpske zemlje, srpski rod. Srbi ljubav Bože hrani, moliti se sav naš rod.
Your Grace, Your Eminence, Graces, Reverend Fathers, dear brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to say a few words on behalf of the clergy of the Metropolitanate of Australia and New Zealand in regards to the farewell to our beloved Bishop Irinej. When I was approached to say a few words, I honestly thought that this honor is not deserved not just by me, but any of the younger clergy, and should be someone of more experienced brothers. But it was insisted upon, and they told me I was the one who worked the longest with His Grace, so I probably knew him better than others. And that got me thinking, and I only have a few words to say, but I was thinking, what is that I know about him that other priests or other clergy is not that well acquainted with? And we all know that feeling that we usually don't know the value of something that we have until we lose it. And very soon we will find out, and all of you will, who are in the clergy will have the opportunity to confirm this. But the one thing that I probably think I know maybe a bit better is the matter of discipline. And I mentioned this to His Grace before, that I thought that he lacked discipline in terms of disciplining his priests, but he was very disciplined to himself. And many of us, all of us, probably got away with much more than we ever hoped we will. And I still hope that we will learn how to be more disciplined. And I also hope that this is not being recorded and that the priests in America will not hear this. Cut the American version. They have to learn this the hard way. We don't want to give them any secrets away. Your Grace, thank you for everything you did for us. You've been a true father to all of us, a spiritual guidance. You gave the opportunity to everyone, and everyone had an equal opportunity to present his values and his qualities for the church, in the church, and to be placed in the right place, and you always had a sound judgment of where everyone belongs. Thank you for that. We will always remember that, and you will always be a beacon of hope in that regard for us. Samo da ponovim ukratko da obraćanje episkopu ispred sveštenstva nije dužnost koja treba da pripadne jednom od mlađih sveštenika. I ja sam na tome insistirao kad su me zamolili, međutim, rekli su mi da je najbolje da ja govorim zato što sam ja najduže radio sa Vladikom pa ga možda najbolje poznajem. I onda sam razmišljajući o tome šta je to što ja znam bolje od drugih sveštenika o Vladiki Irineju, shvatio da je to u stvari samo pitanje discipline, odnosno pitanje kako on disciplinuje sveštenike i kakvu disciplinu ima prema samom sebi. Svi sveštenici jako dobro znaju da, ili većina sveštenika jako dobro zna, da je disciplina Vladike Irineja prema nama nikad nije bila onako kruta i stroga, uvijek je bila očinska. Njegova disciplina prema njemu samodisciplina je bila zaista za svaku pohvalu i jeste za svaku pohvalu, i to je nešto što bismo svi mogli da naučimo od njega i da se ugledamo na njega, a isto tako i u odnosu posebno sveštenika prema svojim parohijanima, biti blag prema drugima i strog prema sebi je zaista jedan kvalitet kakvim naš episkop može da se ponosi i naša crkva može da se ponosi time što ima takvog episkopa. Vladiko, hvala vam u ime sveštenstva i u ime svih nas.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Angela, and I'm part of the Metropolitan Executive Board with His Grace Bishop Irinej. Your Grace, official dignitaries, respected clergy, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very privileged to stand here before you this evening on a very special occasion. Tonight's a celebration for His Grace. But for many of us, it's a very sad time. A time to say farewell to an incredible individual, his distinguished work, his knowledge, his wisdom, his distinct vision, but most of all his kindness. We were truly blessed to have you as our shepherd, leading your flock for so long. Your Grace, in layman's terms, you're truly amazing. I'm living proof of your patience. Father Emma Doug asked me to share a couple of stories with you tonight about Your Grace. And Your Grace, you've advocated for us in the broader Australian community. You've registered our faith, for people who don't know, with a special religious education in schools. So we have scripture, and we're recognised in the Orthodox faith to have scripture in schools. And that's a first for us. So we thank you for that, because that's so important for our children. And as the children in school say, you're the big cheese. So I'm going to share with you two real life stories of His Grace's tribulations that he endured whilst I was president at one of his parishes. As you're all aware, His Grace reunited us from the dark side with our Mother Church, and we can never forget that. When the first draft constitution was disseminated to the church parish, I called a forum for all the community members to have input to the draft, and our parish priest wasn't able to be present because he had 2 christenings, so he gave his blessing and he said, continue and I'll come in once I, finish the christenings, and I said, okay. So we started and we proceeded the meeting, and everything was going really well, or so I thought was going really well. And we got to the point of stewardship, and Serbs didn't really know in our parish what stewardship was. So they said, what's stewardship? And I said, in my survival Serbian language and going home manner, I gave an analogy of how the Catholic Church had been doing this for years, and this was the way to go ahead, and if we were going to go ahead, we needed to be like the Catholic Church, and yada, yada, yada. And I thought that was really good, and I asked them, did they have any questions? And they all went very, very quiet. All these men, 32 men, were very, very quiet, and I thought, yes. Father Nenad came back in, he said, you finished already? And I said, yeah, we're finished. And he said, no arguments? I go, no. Nemas fajr? I go, no. Oh, fallible, he says, okay. Little did I realise that was the calm before the storm. 2 days later, I received a call from His Grace asking me, did I in fact tell my community we were amalgamating with the Catholic Church? No. Did you say anything about the Catholic Church? No, well, I said, I just gave an example how the Catholics are going forward and we need to go forward and stewardship was a way to go. I was just trying to explain. And he said, my dear, maybe next time don't use the Catholics as an example. I said, no worries, Your Grace. Still to this day that haunts me, as does this next little story. I'd been attending Icarise, for those who don't know, it's the Interchurch Commission of Religious Education in Schools. And for 2 years we were observers because we didn't make muster. We were observers, and then they gave us acceptance and we were members. Thank you to His Grace. So now we're actually on the pamphlet with Serbian Orthodox religion, which goes out to every state school across New South Wales. So this was a really big coup for us. And I was on the train returning home from the meeting and I was so excited. I thought, oh, I'll message His Grace, I've got heaps to. So I messaged His Grace saying, you know, we're on the pamphlets, we've made it. Anyway, a few seconds later, my partner, now my husband, messaged me and asked me what we were planning for dinner. And I messaged back saying, oh, what about garlic prawns and steamed veg, because it was paused. And there was no reply. So I waited, and I sent a message again, and there was no reply. And there was no message again, there was no reply, so I waited. Then I said, well, do you want garlic prawns and steamed veg for dinner? Hurry up and make your mind. And I looked down at my phone and I had an instant message and it said, yes, that sounds very nice. And it was from His Grace. Very embarrassing. Lesson learnt. Recheck before you hit send on the last person that you've had the message about. But on a serious note, Your Grace, even though you'll be far from us in person, please know that you have touched all our hearts in Australia, and you'll always be in our thoughts and our prayers. We value all your work that you've done for our diocese, for our church. We've recognised all that you've endured for us, all the sacrifice you've made for us, and we sincerely thank you, and we truly are the people's bishop. Mnogo je lijepo, Grace, and thank you. And now I'm going to introduce you to Lazarikon Ensemble that commenced in 2014. The individuals gathered together with a love of folkloric and nationalistic songs. Their wish is for Serbian ethnic and spiritual music and traditions to live on. Lazarikon Ensemble would also like to take this opportunity to invite you to their concert, which will be held at the Italian Forum on the 12th of November. So now I introduce to you the Lazarikon Ensemble.
Dobro večer. Your Grace, Bishop Irinej, what a pleasure to be here. Bishop, of course, of the Serbian Orthodox Church in Australia and New Zealand, to all the distinguished members of clergy who I share the table with tonight, and those of you I haven't met, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I also want to mention, of course, the Ambassador and his wife who are here from Canberra. It's very good to meet with you and share the table and the food this evening. And so it is a great pleasure to be here this evening for the farewell banquet for His Grace, Bishop Irinej. His Grace, of course, has been leading the Serbian Orthodox Church in Australia for 10 years. And during that time, we know he has significantly strengthened the Church for the benefit of his flock. In particular, His Grace has presided over a significant building and refurbishment program. He has replenished the clergy and reached out to the broader Australian community on behalf of the Serbian Orthodox Church, thereby raising the profile of the Church across Australia. On a personal note, I met His Grace very early on in his term in Australia. And at the encouragement of Father Radan, who is sitting over there, I was seeking to enter Parliament, and His Grace, as of course was Father Radan, very helpful to me with his advice and his assistance in those days, oh so long ago they seem for both of us. You have a keen understanding of politics and the need for the Church to have strong relationships with government and with policymakers. Now, of course, my husband's family, who are here tonight, including my son, proudly Nicholas, who's 21, are members of the congregation at Larissa. The church, of course, where my kids were baptised and I was married over 26 years ago. And I know from talking to my parents-in-law, Dragana, who is here with us tonight, and their friends, that Bishop Irinej has been a great leader and a spiritual guide to his flock, and he will be sorely missed by the Serbian community in Australia and New Zealand. But Australia's loss will be, of course, America's gain. And America happens to be a favourite place of mine, where in fact Nicholas, Alex and my first son was born all those years ago. And we do wish His Grace all the very best for his new role as the Bishop of the Eastern American Diocese, based in that magnificent place called New York City. I have no doubt he will tackle his new challenges with his characteristic wisdom and humility. Now, we all know that His Grace is a big fan of tennis and a fan of Serbia #1 ranked player, of course, Novak Djokovic. Now, Novak has won 6 Australian Open titles since 2008, often with His Grace watching at Centre Court in Melbourne, I have noticed. Now, during that time, Djokovic has only won 2 US Open titles. Did you realise that? Now, of course, being based in New York, His Grace will be able to continue his support of tennis, and hopefully we will see more US Open titles for Novak. That is a bonus. But Bishop Irinej, it has been a pleasure knowing you personally, working with you as a member of the New South Wales Government. We greatly appreciate your dedication, your service to the Serbian community, and indeed the broader Australian community over the past decade. You have truly left a lasting legacy in Australia, and you'll be greatly missed by me and all of us who joined to celebrate in this banquet here tonight. But most importantly, we wish you every success as you embrace your new role in the United States, and continue to advance and build the Orthodox Church in the Serbian diaspora. Hvala e laka noć.
Now, I also have a letter here to be read from Chris Hayes, MP, Federal Member for Fowler, Chief Opposition Whip. Your Grace, it is with deep sense of gratitude that I write to thank you on your outstanding service and contribution to the Church and the Australian Serbian community during your tenure as the Bishop of the Metropolitanate of Australia and New Zealand. Through your commitment and dedication, you have enriched the Serbian community by promoting the core values that define Serbian customs and traditions, and more importantly, the Serbian Orthodox Church. Under your guidance, a series of programs commenced aimed at educating the younger members of the community about their Serbian ancestry, many of whom are second and third generation Australians. As a result of your hard work, young people have become more in touch with their Serbian heritage, culture and language, as well as their Serbian Orthodox religion. The formation of the Serbian Orthodox Youth Association, SOYA, is one example of how the younger generation has assumed a more active participation within the community. In 2014, the association hosted its first rendition of the annual Serbian festival at Darling Harbour, which showcased Serbian cuisine, music and folk dancing to the wider community. I also take this opportunity to commend you on your inspiring humanitarian work, particularly in 2014 when Serbia experienced its worst flooding in more than a century. I vividly recall your involvement during this tragedy as you worked very closely with the Australian Serbian community in raising much needed funds and resources to help families who have lost so much during this devastation. It has been a pleasure to work alongside you since I became the member for Fowler, and I extend my sincere best wishes on your new appointment as the throne of the Bishops of Eastern America. You leave a remarkable legacy in Australia, as well as a vast array of friends. Yours sincerely, Chris Hayes, MP.
Bishop Irinej, Your Graces, Your Honor Gabriela, dragi gosti, distinguished guests. My great pleasure to be here this evening. Time is not for long speech, but time is for big thank. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Thank you for 2.5 years of excellent cooperation with Serbian Embassy in Canberra. Ja ovom prilikom želim da istaknem, da izdvojim 2 događaja iz proteklog perioda kada sam imao tu čast i privilegiju da sarađujem sa njegovim preosveštenstvom Vladikom Irinejem. Pre svega, to je komemoracija 100 godina od početka Velikog rata organizovana u Australian War Memorial, Australijskom ratnom memorialu u Canberri. Zaista, to je događaj kada smo krenuli od nule, a kada smo uspeli da napravimo nešto što je bilo dostojno i srpske zajednice, i svih nas, i države Srbije, i svih koji su učestvovali na takvom jednom događaju. Zbog toga, jedno ogromno hvala onda kada sam vam se obratio sa predlogom da organizujemo jedan takav događaj. Drugi je svakako vrlo uspešna organizacija i onda s moje, hoću reći sa strane ambasade Generalnog konzulata, pomoć u organizaciji posete njegove svetosti Patrijarha Irineja Australiji. Imali smo tu čast i privilegiju da organizujemo jedan vrlo uspešan prijem u Generalnom konzulatu ovde u Sidneju, ali i sve ono što je nekad i daleko od javnosti, a što je jako bitno da se pripremi, zahvaljujući pre svega i saradnji sa australijskim institucijama. Obično su ovakve prilike rastanci, ali ja ne bih da ovakvu priliku nazovem rastankom, želeo bih da kažem, nadamo se i novim susretima i novim prilikama za saradnju. U tu čast, jedan prigodan poklon smo pripremili za vas, jeste da će biti korišten u Velikoj Jabuci, ali on je od zlata jabuka, Srbija je od zlata jabuka i tako smo i naslovili taj poklon, tako da se zna da je u Velikoj Jabuci još jedna vrednija od zlata jabuka Srbija. Živeli i hvala.
Your Eminence, Archbishop Paul of the Antiochian Orthodox Christian Archdiocese, Your Graces, Bishop Yakovos of Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of Australia, Bishop George of Russian Orthodox Church outside of Russia, Bishop Suriel of Melbourne, and Bishop Daniel of Sydney of the Coptic Orthodox Church, very Reverend Fathers, Father Michael Protopopov and Father Ljubčo Dvojakovski, and all other brothers clergy here present, the Honorable Ms. Upton, Attorney General, Your Excellencies, Mr. Petrovic, Serbian Ambassador to Australia, and Mr. Radošević, Consul General of the Republic of Serbia, ladies and gentlemen, dear brothers and sisters, after almost 10 full years of a dedicated service to God and Christ's Holy Church, after 10 years of a fruitful leadership as the head of our local church and most prominent leader of our Serbian community in Australia and New Zealand, His Grace Bishop Irinej is about to leave us and take up a new appointment in his home country of America. This is not because he wanted to leave us, and this is not what he wished for. This is happening because he is a good and obedient child of our Mother Church, which has called him to undertake a new duty as Bishop of the Eastern American Diocese and to undertake an almost impossible task of rebuilding St. Savas Cathedral in New York, which sadly and tragically burned down on Easter Day this year. The Church has chosen Bishop Irinej because of his diligence and dedication, because of his work ethics and leadership qualities, because of his visionary capability and general reliability, because of his soberness, reasonability, level-headedness, balanced view and proper approach, but also because of his tireless effort and steadfastness. We have gathered here tonight to bid His Grace a farewell, to wish him success, and to say thank you. Thank you, Your Grace, for your loving care for our church and for every single one of us, of your flock. We thank God for you and thank you for everything you have done for our Metropolitanate. Thank you for your warm prayers and wise counsel, for your exquisite sermons and magnificent speeches, for your regular and tireless conducting of worship services and love for the beauty of God's house, for the impeccable administration and fervent intercessions before the heavenly throne of our Lord, for a proper and dignified representation of our church and community among other Orthodox, among other Christians and faithful of other religions. Thank you for being the best ambassador of our faithful Serbs living in this beautiful country. Thank you for your political representation, diplomatic activities, and cultural engagements on our behalf before the political structures, diplomatic corps, cultural institutions, and general public of Australia, New Zealand, and other countries. We will miss you, we will miss your presence, and definitely we will feel your absence. We wish you success and a multitude of God's abundant gifts we ask of God for you. Dear guests, please put your hands together and welcome His Grace Bishop Irinej to the microphone. His Grace Bishop Irinej.
Thank you, my beloved Father Miodrag, Dean of the Sydney Deanery and the Chancellor ad interim of our Metropolitanate, for always being with me, for being my right hand in much of what I had to do in this Metropolitanate and for the sake of our Holy Church. Your overwhelming introduction, as indeed all of the speeches this evening, make me feel, perhaps I should say, profoundly embarrassed to stand now before this august assemblage and to say but a few impoverished words, truly impoverished, in return for the generosity of your speeches, your kind remarks, and most of all, the heartfelt sentiments which you issued on my humble behalf this evening. I can but call to mind the words of a great man, the late Archbishop Yakovos of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America, who, when he was enthroned in New York, stood before his faithful and he said, "I stand on firm ground with very shaky knees, daring to speak before you." And this is precisely how I feel this evening. It is also an interesting historical aside to note that I was born on the day that Archbishop Yakovos was consecrated a bishop, quite a few years ago. Your Grace Bishop Yakovos, representing His Eminence, our beloved Archbishop Stylianos, Your Eminence, my beloved Saidna Boulos, Archbishop Paul of the Antiochian Orthodox Christian Archdiocese, Your Grace Bishop George of Canberra of the Russian Orthodox Church, Your Grace Bishop Suriel of Melbourne of the Coptic Orthodox Church, Your Grace Bishop Daniel of Sydney of the Coptic Orthodox Church, beloved Father Michael, very reverend and reverend clergy, Honorable Gabriel Upton, who is our wonderful Attorney General of New South Wales, and to whom we are all very indebted for your leadership in the arena of everything that is needed to live a life ordered and legislatively led. We will pray for you and for your success as you continue to lead us here in the great state of New South Wales. May God bless and keep you. Your Excellency, beloved Ambassador of Serbia to Australia, Miroljub Petrovic, together with your wife, Your Excellency, Mr. Branko Radošević, Consul General of Serbia to Australia, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, brothers and sisters, how do I begin to express everything that I would like to say this evening and to thank you for a very fruitful decade in service to you, my beloved people. I have repeated several times over, and again, perhaps this evening, I must say it again, and I parenthetically remark that it's, for me, a grateful experience to speak in English and not in Serbian for one reason only. Well, obviously, the one reason is that everybody will understand, but the other reason is I know what will happen to me tonight. If I dare to speak in Serbian, I will not be able to finish my remarks because I will become, as I have become every step of the way, far too emotional. I have spent many a flight traversing from one end of Australia to the other and through to New Zealand in attempting to say goodbye and seeking forgiveness from everybody, as I seek forgiveness from all of you this evening if I have offended you in any way. And those trips were filled with tears. Often I could not even concentrate on what I was trying to read, what I was trying to do. They are tears which are tears of sorrow and sadness because I must leave you behind. However, they are tears of joy as well because we have done so much. And as noted this evening, one of my greatest burning desires in being your spiritual leader here in this great country was to make sure that the Serbian Orthodox Church, whose image had been unfairly tarnished through the decade of civil wars in the former Yugoslavia, which ravaged, on the one hand, our fatherland, on the other hand, it provided us with so many of our faithful in this country, so much so that I was able to open up 6 new missionary parishes in this country, in addition to the parishes that we already have. I was able to bring over, and with some return them to Australia, with others to ordain them and place them here, a total of 34 new clergy. I am grateful to God for all of this. Many things have happened. You have heard Ilya Perac, who was our Master of Ceremonies for this evening, speak. And I think one of my greatest joys has truly been the formation of SOJA, the Serbian Orthodox Youth Association. Formed in the year 2008, they have tackled many challenging situations which had been placed before them, situations which other members of my diocesan administrative board could not take on to themselves, so their youthful enthusiasm was indeed necessary. There were times when, because of promoting my, it seems, ceaseless font of ideas before many of you, I felt as though I had to pull in order to make sure that everything would be put into place and to bear the weight of others who perhaps could not understand what it was that I was trying to accomplish. On the other hand, when I asked SOJA to do something, instead of pulling their weight, I discovered I had to run behind them in order to try and catch up. Such is the way that youth operate, and as you have heard, amongst their many very successful endeavors, and with gratitude to Mr. Petar Kozina, we have now sponsored 5 years in a row our Serbian Public Festival, which garners an average of 50,000 persons per day for 2 days in Darling Harbour, the largest Serbian festival in the world. And I thank you all, one and all, for participating in this. My relations with the other Orthodox churches, as has been noted, and indeed with the other Christian churches, is one which for me is a source of profound joy. To be able to share the faith with others who are not from your own particular ethnic background, but are absolutely one with you because we do have the same faith, is truly a wellspring of joy and a font of riches for all of us. Each and every one of these wonderful hierarchs of the Orthodox Church sitting here have been for me a deep personal source of inspiration. As His Grace Bishop Suriel noted, yes, it's true, our Serbian people suffered and continue to suffer in Kosovo, Metohija, and throughout our Serbian lands. But how the Coptic Orthodox Christians suffer to this very day in Egypt. There is not a liturgy that I serve that I do not mention your people. Said Nabulos, your people have suffered much in Syria and continue to suffer. I know that you have received so many refugees into your loving paternal arms in this country. His Eminence, Archbishop Stylianos, was a man who fascinated me from before I even arrived to the shores of this country, having read some of his poetry and then making it my task to study his ecclesiology, his poetry, and even to include his works in my humble offerings to the academic community. When I think of Archbishop Stylianos, who is a very strict disciplinarian and a very firmly grounded hierarch of Christ's Holy Church, a smile comes to my face for another reason. And that is, many times this evening you have heard mention of Novak Djokovic. True, I look to go every chance that I have to Melbourne to be there and to be with him, and he's noted my presence. And once it was that I decided I have to sit here and be exceedingly proper, because I realized as now cameras are in front of me, and as somebody once remarked to me, I'm always prepared to be paparazzi ready. And so sitting there very properly, I could not endure. And there was one moment when I jumped out of my seat, I threw my arms up in the air, and my photo ended up on the front page of the Melbourne newspapers. And the cheeky headlines read, Novak won, and they call him the Joker, Djokovic the Joker, as he of course makes a play on words himself, because he brought with him, like playing chess, his bishop, his beautiful girlfriend, and an NBA star, Vladika Irinej. When I came back to Sydney, my telephone rang. It was the Greek Archdiocese, and I was very politely told, His Eminence would like to speak to you. I thought, oh my, I'm in trouble. And he picked up the phone, and in his own delightful manner, Your Grace, I would like to talk to you. I go, okay. About your being present yesterday at Novak Djokovic's tournament. I thought, oh no. He goes, I saw the newspapers. I thought, this is it, I'm finished. He goes, my personal doctors were there watching you. And do you know what they told me? They called me and said, thank God that the bishop was there to be with Novak, and I congratulate you. So my fears were alleviated. And His Eminence relieved me of any burden by adding that great source of joy to my soul. Your Grace, thank you also for allowing me to be part of your life as the first Australian-born bishop of the Orthodox Church. I think this is an incredible milestone for all of us because it speaks of the Church in its entirety and noting that we have finally come of age. And soon the Serbian Orthodox Church will follow with what I perceive of as my only source of consolation, namely that we too will receive for the first time a son of the Serbian diaspora of Australia in the person of His Grace, our new bishop, Bishop Siluan, who will be coming in order to take this church from whatever foundations I have managed to establish during this past decade and to build upon them, and I pray to take them to limits unknown to this day. Bishop George, yes, it's true, you do come from the United States of America. We can't hold that against you, as I pray they don't hold it against me either. Although I've heard, even this evening, they said, we'll miss your accent. And I feel like a person many times without a home. When I go to Belgrade, they ask me, where do I come from? When I go back to America, they say, where do you come from? And when I'm here, they say, where do you come from? Somehow they feel that it's a hybrid, so they feel, of course, he's from Canada. And so that's the solution given. Both Their Excellencies, our ambassador, and our General Consul have been remarkable and a sheer delight to work with. It is a well-known fact that the Serbian Orthodox Church is a state-building church. Serbia came into being through her church. And this is even in the preamble of our Constitution. And so it is in traditional Orthodox lands that the church and the state have always worked together hand in hand. And it brought great joy to our collective heart when we saw the return of the two-headed eagle and its crown on the flag of Serbia, and when once again Bože Pravde, God of Justice, was sung in Serbia as we have sung in the diaspora, and Serbia once again took her place proudly amongst the nations of the world. Thank you for the chance to work with you. Perhaps our paths will cross again, as with everybody, and I issue tonight a collective invitation, ako Bog da, God willing, if you ever find yourselves traveling to New York, the Big Apple, Zlatna Jabuka, please do come and visit us. As Father Miodrag mentioned, I have an exceedingly daunting task before me to rebuild the St. Sava Cathedral. It is the third largest Serbian church in the world, and to watch it rise as a phoenix from its proverbial ashes. The low-end estimate is somewhere at $40 million. But with God's help, where men cannot succeed, with God's help, we will succeed indeed. His Grace Bishop Daniel had shared with me how he returned from a synod meeting, and there they had discussed, amongst all else, the question of allowing the Coptic Church to build churches in Egypt. Up until now, if they even had a minor repair to do to their churches, they had to seek government permission for this, and more often than not, they were denied. Thank God that now you will be able to start building your churches, and our prayers are truly with you for all of this. Father Nemanja, I don't know how to thank you enough, and it's a good thing that you spoke more in English than you did in Serbian, because you would have caused me to become emotionally overwhelmed once again with your kind words and your generosity. And yes, you did spend more time with me than anybody else. I was very much afraid of where your findings would lead you and what you would say, because I know how you can give tongue-in-cheek answers to many such questions. Thank you. God bless and keep you and your family well. It's a joy for me knowing that I will leave young clergy, the likes of you and others, behind to continue here in this country. Angela, thank you also for your kind remarks. I don't know where Angela's sitting. There she is. Yes. Angela, yes, and I never did get that dinner with garlic prawns, come to think of it. But thank you for the kind offer, even though it was not intended for me. Angela has been wonderful in representing the Serbian Church before the Commission for Religious Education. And so we now have teachers in most of our Sydney area schools, public and private, teaching Scripture. And it's a wonderful way to win over the hearts of the children and preserve them for Jesus Christ, our God. How do I thank Lazarica Church Choir, and Lazaricon. We have traveled all over this great country, and now I have a new task for you. Will you come with me to New York? I would like to have a public concert so that we can raise desperately needed funds for the rebuilding of our cathedral. If I could, I would crate you up and pack you with me and take you right now with all of my belongings. You could have your choice of traveling by ship or by plane, but I will let you do that at your leisure because you deserve much more than even first class can offer. Your singing has brought me continuous joy, and as I mentioned to His Eminence and their graces and their excellencies sitting with me this evening, and Gabriela, that many times when I'm at the church working late at night, which is almost all the time actually, the children come in to practice folklore, I have to close my door because I can't concentrate. The children have first priority. Then along come other groups and they talk and they talk and they talk. I have to close my door so I can concentrate and continue. And then comes Lazaricon, and I open my door and I continue to work. So I have a free concert every time you come to practice, and I thank you for it. The fact that you have been able to restore Serbian singing, traditional Serbian singing, izvorne pesme, source music, source songs, is for me something which is absolutely remarkable, because of the fact that, as St. John Chrysostom himself once noted, only the human voice and singing has the capability to elevate the soul and take it from that which is subtle to that which is utterly sublime. And when I hear those source songs, especially when you sang that magnificent song about Karađorđe, it's something which pulls at the very heart and the human soul like none else. Boga vam zdravlja I hvala vam za sve što činite za nas, za našu crkvu I za naš narod. The way that you represent us is truly remarkable. I can only hope and pray that I will be able to somehow replicate this in the United States of America. Da ste mi živi I zdravi. I see here representatives of the new Tesla Society which is formed. The fact that you brought here that superlative play about Nikola Tesla, perhaps one of the greatest Serbs that ever lived, is a milestone accomplishment. We are very proud of you. I'm going to New York, which is the home of Nikola Tesla, and I'm a member there of the Tesla Society, and I pray that we will be able to continue in our work together. I have here with me this evening the members of my Metropolitanate Executive Board. Bob, thank you for your kind words again of today. Randon, thank you for everything that you do. The president of my Federation of the Circles of Serbia and Sisters Milica, as I've mentioned, Ilija, who is the president of my youth group, each and every one of you. Chika Pero, my treasurer, where is he? Without him, we would be lost. Although I say we belittle the poor man because being in a position where he was a high-ranking banking executive, and now he writes checks that are only a few dollars and cents. And he used to write them, I believe, in the millions at least. But šta ćemo? Mi smo sirotinja. But anyway, thank you for putting up with us and for all that you do for us. All of you are constantly in my very humble and truly impoverished prayers. Thank you. Father Rade, thank you for Riza, for establishing a magnificent source of Orthodox vestments. It was very difficult to begin this. I must say, as one Orthodox metropolitan in Greece mentioned the Father Rade, and I beg your indulgence for this, he is a perfect thief. He manages to take old Orthodox patterns and together with the aid of his wonderful, wonderful wife Milica, who is an amazing talent, and his kuma, who is an iconographer, to put together brilliant designs and produce some of the finest Orthodox vestments in the world. And I believe even the Coptic Orthodox Church is now wearing them. I believe both of our bishops here have been garbed with these vestments. I wear them proudly. I know that Archbishop Paul has it. I know that also Bishop Yakovos has a set of vestments. Vladika, nada i vam imet. Batishka, što slučilось? We have to get you a set of vestments, Your Grace. We do, and we will. Father Ada will take care of that, of course. So many things have happened, but why did I say he's a perfect thief? When I was consecrated bishop, I wore a set of vestments that my mother embroidered for me. She was, one could say, one of those great naive artists in embroidery. And I came home one day and I found her. She was a very short little woman, opasna mala ličanka, and she climbed up on top of a table outside under a grapevine, and she was pulling off leaves and pulling off grapes, and I thought, what is she doing? And I looked at her, and she had taken yellow sheets of legal paper, sewed them together, and was laying the grapes on there, laying the leaves on there. Go, Majko, šta radiš? Ne pitaj, don't ask. What are you doing? Just go. Okay. She put together an entire pattern for a set of vestments that she embroidered for my consecration. She never lived to see that day, but she was with me in spirit, and of course she saw it more than anyone else did. And one day I was told Father Rade was standing behind me in liturgy with his phone out, škljoc, taking photos of this vestment, and Riza was born. So thank you for being the perfect thief that you are. In the meantime, the Russian church, the Romanian church, the Greek church, and many others have now copied your designs, and so this delightful circle of Orthodox thievery permitted when it comes to vestments is something which continues and embellishes the life of our church. There are so many things that I would like to say, but I fear that I've kept you too long already. The evening has been wonderful. I really have no words with which I can thank you enough for everything that you have said about my unworthy person and the time that I've offered you here in this country. I did everything that I could to make sure, as I have said, that the Serbian church stands up, and despite everything said against our people, takes its rightful place in the society as the second largest Orthodox church in this country, an integral part of the fabric, the very tapestry which makes Australia so beautiful. Finally, in the end, and I apologize if I have skipped anybody, I know that I've skipped many people and there's so much that could and should be said. I would like to thank Father Miodrag and the members of the committee for putting together this wonderful evening. I truly had no idea what was going to be going on, and the way they behaved, I thought, Boże, will anybody be coming to this evening? So I thought maybe we could take a small hall where there'll be a few tables and it'll look like it's a large gathering. Thank you for everything. Thank you for this wonderful, truly memorable evening. And Batyushka, I must also thank you very specially because you are a dear person to me, and you know that, how much you mean to me. Your own distinguished aristocratic background is something which embellishes the very fabric of the Orthodox Church in this country. It is well known who and what your grandfather was in the Russian Tsarist Duma and the family that you herald from. Большое вам спасибо, дорогой батюшка. It was through your kindness that I was decorated by Her Imperial Highness Maria Vladimirovna with the Order of St. Anne. And I'm very pleased to note, as I have about our own Serbian nation, that the government of Russia has recognized two imperial orders, the Order of St. Anne and the Order of St. Nicholas, which even officers of the Russian military are permitted to wear on their uniforms. So you see, thank God, all of our Orthodox nations are coming back to self, regaining self, and taking their rightful place amongst the nations of the world. And this is a great answer to all of our prayers. And to all of you, each and every one of you without exception, I could go through this room and to mention everybody by name and to thank you for everything that you have done for me personally. And I would not know how to repay you. Simple things, tremendous things, from all of the women who've given me their gift of love through their cooking, through their food. Ribi paprikash, I will never forget this. Everything else that you have given to me, I know what is the best offering of food in any one of our churches. So if you need to know where to go to eat what, simply drop me an email and I'll tell you where to go. Even somebody as generous as my subdeacon, Veljko, who is the father of our new bishop, who makes me candles for my dikirje, trikirje, and whenever I bless you with them, I think of him. And this is his wonderful gift that he's given to me over this decade. And I don't know how to repay you for that love. Hvala vam od sveg srca. Hvala vam svima. Nemam reči sa kojima se mogu izraziti dovoljno kako bih mogao da se zahvalim svima vama bez izuzetka. Kao što rekoh, mogu bi vas pojedinačno imenovati i večeras da iskažem pred svima šta ste meni učinili i šta činite i koliko ste dobri i odani vašoj svetoj crkvi. And that which I wanted to say in the beginning, I will now end with, and that is, when I returned to Belgrade after my first year, there were many upheavals, ups and downs. Oh, the things that were written about me on the internet and in the newspapers and so on, because I did not know how to sit still. I was given a task to put together two halves of one church and to elevate it to the dignity of a single metropolitanate. It was not an easy path, as was mentioned by His Grace Suriel. It's a very thorny path, and as Patriarch Irinej himself said, when you stand on the hilltop, you are alone. And all of the storms of the world attack you and hit upon you, and there's nobody that can help you except God. And this is very true. How many times we've all stood by ourselves on that hilltop as the winds blew against us, as the rains and the snows and the hail and the thunder all circled around our heads. And knowing all of this, our saintly Patriarch Pavle, when I came back to Belgrade for the first time after 1 year here, he asked me to sit down and to talk to him, and he expected an endless list of complaints. And it could have been an endless list of complaints, but I looked at him, and the only thing that I could think of, and you have to know one thing if you don't know, and if Father Nemanja can confirm this, if I don't believe something, I cannot say it even to try to be nice. I simply keep quiet, smile, nod my head, and walk away. So when I say something, I really and truly mean it. And I looked at this remarkable man in his 90s, a man whom I lived with for a good number of years, and who taught me much by his personal example. And I said to him, Vaša svetosti, hvala vam što ste mi podarili najbolji srpski narod na svetu. Your Holiness, thank you for having bestowed upon me the best Serbian people in the world. And I truly believe this, and this is indeed the message of my heart and the song of my soul with which I leave you this evening. Thank you all, each and every one of you. I don't know what I did to deserve this generous outpouring of love, your respect for coming this evening. Please do understand how much this means to me, and you will always be in my hearts. And if I can borrow one phrase from Father Sasha Stojanovic, when I asked his people to pray for me, he put it so eloquently, where he said, I asked them, if you find a small corner of your heart in which to remember me, I will be grateful. Koliko nađete mali kutak u vašim srcima, da se mene setite u vašim molitvama, bit ću vam itekako blagodaran. And then Father Sasha said, we will all write a small letter E, I in English, for Irinej, and to remember you in our prayers. Thank you for that thought, Oče. Thank you all for everything. I believe that I've said everything and I've said nothing. There's so much more that I can say. Many new things are waiting. We have the consecration of our new church in Wollongong. I'm deeply sorry that I cannot be here because of my obligations, but I'm grateful to God, Father Branko, for everything you did, and that I was there to consecrate your iconostas and the renewed church, the frescoes, and God willing, Bishop Jovan of Slavonia will be here together with other hierarchs in order to bless it. I will be with you in prayer in that day. Hvala vam, živi bili na mnogaja i blagaja ljeta i znajte da vas ljubim od sveg srca i ne znam kako da vam se odužim za vašu ljubav i za sve što ste učinili za moju malenkost. Thank you endlessly for everything. God give you many, many years of health, happiness, and prosperity. Amen. Before we close this evening, I have the distinct pleasure to issue, on behalf of His Holiness Patriarch Irinej, the following grammata or citation.
Irinej, Božjom milošću pravoslavni arhijepiskop Pećki, mitropolit Beogradsko-Karlovački patrijarh srpski, dodeljuje ovu gramatu gospodinu Vanji Kneževiću, vlasniku kompanije za proizvodnju kuhinja iz Sidneja, Australija, za pokazanu nesebičnu ljubav i revnost prema Srpskoj pravoslavnoj crkvi, a posebno na uloženom trudu i velikom novčanom prilogu prilikom generalne obnove hrama Svete Trojice u Grockoj. Gospodinu Vanji i njegovoj porodici želimo od vaskrsloga Gospoda i spasa našega Isusa Hrista svako istinsko dobro i uspeh u daljem životu i radu, dano u prvoprestolnom gradu Beogradu dana 5. juna 2016. godine, broj 514, s blagoslovom patrijarh srpski Irinej. Da li je gospodin Vanja tu da priđe i primi ovu gramatu?
Preosjašćenjejšemu i visokodostojnjejšemu sinu Irineju, Božijeju milostiju, pravoslavnomu episkopu mitropoliji Australijsko-Novozelandskoj i novoizabranom episkopu istočno-američkomu, mnogo